Ever grab something from the pantry, glance at the label, and wonder, wait, are these the same thing, or did I just buy twins who secretly hate each other? That's the dilemma every baker faces when staring at baking soda and baking powder. One will make your cake rise like a balloon at a party, and the other, well, let's just say your cookies might sulk in the corner. I'm Professor Everything, and today we'll be answering the question, what is the difference between baking soda and baking powder? Right here on Explaining Everything. Let's start with introductions. If baking soda and baking powder walked into a party, you'd probably think they were interchangeable. But appearances are deceiving. Baking soda, also called sodium bicarbonate, is the strong, quiet type. Pure chemical action. One ingredient. No fuss. It needs an acid to react and produce gas, which is exactly what makes baked goods puff up. Without an acid, it's just sitting there like a bored guest scrolling on their phone. Baking powder, on the other hand, is the friend who arrives fully equipped with snacks and a playlist. It contains baking soda, an acid, and a starch. Basically, it's a fully prepared baking team in a can. The essential difference is that baking soda needs an acid to activate, while baking powder has the acid already built in. Think of baking soda as the friend who only dances if someone else starts dancing first, and baking powder as the one who starts the conga line, no matter what. Both baking soda and baking powder release carbon dioxide gas when they react. That gas is what makes cakes rise and cookies fluff. Without gas, your cake would be flatter than a pancake under a steamroller. Baking soda loves acid and needs it to do its job. When it meets something acidic like lemon juice, buttermilk, or yogurt, it releases carbon dioxide bubbles. This reaction happens immediately, so you have to bake the batter quickly. If it sits too long, your cupcake could be pouting in the corner before it even reaches the oven. Baking powder, especially the double-acting kind we mostly use today, is more patient. It reacts twice. First when wet ingredients are added, then again when heat hits in the oven. This two-stage reaction gives a more controlled rise and a little leeway if your timing isn't perfect. Think of it as the friend who snacks before the party, but then shows up later with pizza for everyone. Reliable and consistent. Using the wrong leavener can be a disaster. If you use baking soda instead of baking powder and there's not enough acid in the batter, it just sits there, confused, and your cake stays dense and sad. You might also taste a metallic or soapy note because unreacted baking soda is not delicious. Using baking powder instead of baking soda is a different story. Since baking powder already contains acid, it's weaker in leavening power than pure baking soda. Your dough might rise, but not as much as the recipe intended. Freshness is crucial too. Baking powder and baking soda lose their potency over time. Test baking powder by mixing a little in warm water. If it fizzes energetically, it's good. For baking soda, add vinegar. If it bubbles, congratulations, it's still active and ready to work its magic. If not, it's time to buy a new batch before your dessert turns into a kitchen tragedy. Sometimes recipes use both baking soda and baking powder. Because the baker wants ultimate control, over how the cake rises, and apparently, even baked goods need a little guidance in life. Take chocolate, for example. Chocolate is slightly acidic, but not enough to fully react with all the baking soda needed for lift. That's where baking powder comes in, giving a second boost when the oven heats up, like a backup singer hitting the perfect note at just the right time. Baking soda helps with browning and reacting with the acidic ingredients, giving your cake that slightly caramelized, rich flavor. Baking powder ensures a steady, reliable rise, keeping the texture light and fluffy. Together, they make cake magic, a chaotic yet beautiful combination that somehow turns chemistry into something delicious. It's a little like combining rocket fuel with hot air balloons. One is explosive, the other gentle, and somehow they work together perfectly. The chemistry might sound strange, but the result is glorious, edible, and often Instagram-worthy. Baking soda and baking powder might look alike in the pantry, but they behave very differently in the kitchen. Baking soda is a pure leavener that needs acid and reacts immediately, while baking powder is self-contained, reacts in 2 stages, and gives a more consistent rise. Using the wrong one can turn your dessert into something better suited for a hockey game than a tea party. Think of baking soda as the impatient friend who needs stimulation, and baking powder as the prepared friend who always brings snacks. The next time someone argues about which one to use, you can confidently respond, "They both make gas, but only one brings snacks." If you laughed a little, learned a little, and promise never to let your cookies deflate, hit that like button, subscribe, and happy baking. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.